The gentleman gently stole candy from the Thriller last week, rolling the top at Kokomo while Travis Miller slept like a baby on the bottom. Can Miller mount a comeback in just 3 races, or does Maxime Plant finally close up this season of the BRP iRacing series? We'll soon find out as the BRP Pro Dirt Late Model Tour is live from USA International on PitStop TV. Welcome to the virtual Lakeland, Florida. Eric Brennan and Trey Shuttlesworth join me from America's own land down under, the Sunshine State. We thank you for tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter for the 11th round of 13. USA International is the longtime home of Hooters Pro Cup competition, even hosting NASCAR-sanctioned events for several years. Unfortunately, Lakeland, Florida just couldn't quite keep up, and this 3/4-mile paperclip fell to the wayside, now home to an Amazon hub and PepsiCo bottling facility. Immortalized on the iRacing.com sim before closure, USA now stands as free content to all iRacing members and recently gained a dirt edition of the Speedway. Eric, USA serves as a sim's kind of super speedway in all honesty, and when it comes to dirt racing, the longest dirt track on the sim, that is. What are you looking for with these Pro Dirt Late models this evening? What kind of sticks out to you?
For me, you already hit the nail on the head. The size of the venue. I mean, the fact that this racetrack is 3/4 of a mile in length. For me, Bridgeport Speedway in South New Jersey was the largest track that I can, kind of recall as far as being this big, this fast, this daunting. The fact that the USA International in dirt form is available on the sim makes it all the more enjoyable. But, the corners are relatively tight, the straightaways are exceptionally long, and the BRP guys have proven that no matter how tight the confines or how wide-ranging the playground is, they could put on an incredible show. And between the combination of drivers that we have here tonight, this venue and this playground you already outlined and illustrated perfectly, I think we're in for another Monday night dirt track, short track throwdown, and I'm hyped. I can't wait to see what these guys have in store for us.
Again, this feels like a big speedway for these guys. We can take the speed shot here and show you down the front stretch how long these straightaways are. This is just a little ways past the start-finish line, which is halfway down the straightaway. So you can see the distance to turn 4 almost seems like that should be the straightaway at most dirt tracks, I would imagine. Like that feels like the proper length for a straightaway, but they've still got quite a ways to go down to turn number 1. We can take a look at Maxime Plant currently. Well, no, he's not on the racetrack, but Tanner Correa is. And you can see how long these straightaways are. And the big problem for these drivers is going to be bumps down the straightaway as well. That's going to be the biggest problem. Not so much the speed, but you can see Correa get all kinds of out of shape out of 4, and he's bustling around a little bit down that straightaway. That's the same for front and back. This place gets rutted up pretty bad.
I remember watching those old, Hooters Pro Cup late model races you were alluding to in your intro, and when I'm looking at this track in a dirt form, it almost looks like more narrow than what it would be in like an asphalt late model, where you have the bottom of the racetrack to kind of aim towards and hold. Here, it's the polar opposite. The straightaways certainly narrow up for sure, but look at these guys with little to no fear taking it all the way up to the outside concrete retaining wall through turns 1 and 2. Maybe coming about a car length off the berm there as they exit turn number 2, and then you got to approach turn 3 in almost a similar fashion. We have that right rear fender all the way up against the wall until you slowly start to diamond your way down a little bit off the corner in hopes to keep that momentum up. Now that works when you're running by yourself, but when we get these guys out here a little bit for these heat races and for the feature event later on tonight, if you're going to make a pass, you may have to rough somebody up a little bit to get the job done.
See Adam Hilton running the, well, I'd say that's the extreme outside the line, up on the wall, literally in turn 2. And again here in 3 and 4, you can tell these guys are going to be fighting the racetrack all night long. A very flat paperclip is certainly going to shuffle these guys out towards the outside wall throughout the evening. Want to take a look at the point standings coming into this race. 10 races down, 3 to go. 469 points. That's a total for Maxime Plant after 10 races. Travis Miller sits in the 2nd spot. And quite honestly, Travis Miller he has to execute on every single level. He's 3 wins behind, 17 points behind. He has just got to execute on every single level and beat Maxime Plant. That's the only way he can try and hope to get this championship. Talked about it last week at Kokomo. He's just got to do the best that he can, and the best that he can is beating Maxime Plant. Whatever else happens, happens. He can't control Maxime Plant's fate, but he can control his own, and he's got to execute and got to take advantage of the shortcomings that he may find with the 79 car. If you go back to Kokomo 1 week ago, the 1/4 mile in Indiana, He stayed on the bottom side late in the race. I was very critical of it. Joe Donahue was as well. We were completely flabbergasted at the fact that he stayed on the bottom of the racetrack when the top was working so much better and Maxime Plant was rolling the top. I mentioned it in my intro. Maxime Plant rolled the top while Travis Miller seemed to be sleeping like a baby on the bottom side. He cannot allow that to happen. Not just again this season, but ever again, I think, if he wants to finally get that illustrious championship that he's been hunting since we, well, came back on with these guys in Season 2 of coverage with these guys back in the big blocks.
Well, the championship complexion is storyline number one. I mean, look at a couple of the names that have yet to visit victory lane who have shown flashes of brilliance and are in tonight's field. We'll start there at 5th place, Brett Fisher, as well as Adam Hilton. I mean, those are two guys who we normally see in contention up towards the front, especially in heat races. And Fisher, of course, you know, with the level of consistency, highest running driver there without reaching victory lane. He's somebody who knows that he's only got a handful of more opportunities, in fact, less than that, to find victory lane before the season comes out. Highly doubt he'll have the ability to overcome that 130-point deficit to be up there in battle with those two for the championship you already alluded to. But nobody wants to end a season like this with a goose egg in the win column, and time's running out, which means desperation is going to start to set in a little bit for guys like that. And tonight may be the night where push literally has to come to shove to make it happen.
3 races remaining. This is one of them. We have Fairbury next week, then Charlotte in 2 weeks. But before we get into heat racing this evening, we're going to take a quick step aside. Don't go anywhere. Heat racing coverage and feature racing on the way from USA International Speedway here on PitStop TV.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home by combining the best of 2 products. A revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Welcome back to the virtual USA International Speedway. Very virtual these days as it has fallen off of all racing schedules, closed down, like I said earlier, to be an Amazon hub and PepsiCo bottling facility. Do want to mention, though, qualifying underway. I can tell you Jamie Porter is currently the fastest of the bunch. Maxime Plant goes to 3rd. Not enough to go up to the top of the board. Hunter Reeve also on the Speedway, but that's going to do it. He is the final car to take a time here in qualifying. You can take a quick look at things right about there with our ticker up. You can see kind of where everybody is, and we'll get right into heat racing here in just a few moments. Our field of 12 is going to be split into fields of 6 for our couple of heat races. Dual heat race qualifying, pretty much like you might see for the Daytona 500. A pretty simple format when you talk about it that way, I suppose, when you put it that way. So we are going to roll right into heat number 1 coverage as per usual. Jamie Porter picking up 2 bonus points for qualifying on pole here at the USA International Speedway. Qualifying now done and out of the way. Starting on pole for heat race number 1. I just talked about him. Jamie Porter in that 45 car. He's got to get out there, got to get more wins, and it starts with heat wins. We'll see if he can grab another one this evening from USA. Starting second, though, in heat number 1, it's the gentleman, Maxime Plant, in that 79. All he's got to do is run consistently. He doesn't have to try and push anything, doesn't have to go out there and hit any particular numbers. He's just got to have a good run and ideally beat the 22 car, who is starting a row behind him on the outside of Tanner Correa. You see Travis the Thriller Miller on the outside of row number 2. He has got to start this max points climb with this heat race. If he does not get 4 points, if he does not win this heat race, automatically the chances for his championship hopes almost go out the window. It's going to be very, very tough if he does not maximize points in this heat race. Starting the back row, though, of this first heat, we have none other than Double H, Hunter Holberg, with his Beef Esports teammate, The Beef, Corbin Daniels to his outside. 6 cars for heat number 1. Bit of a lighter field this evening from USA, but it's certainly a big, bad racetrack. You can see we've treated the racetrack here, Eric. We farmed it up a little bit, tilled it up, and it's got a lot more grip in it.
Oh, yeah. Now this could be the first time we're going to see people have to truly be married to the bottom of the racetrack here on these first couple laps in order to make sure that they can run through here side by side. We see everybody throw it out to the wall going into turns 1 and 3. Now you may not have that option with cars to your inside or outside. And Jamie Porter, we mentioned times to get to victory lane starting to run out. This is his chance to make a statement here in Heat 1. Let's see what he can do.
I can't help but notice that we do not have a Travis Miller. We're looking at a truck right now because Travis Miller is not in this heat field. He is the one driver of 6 in this heat not to connect to our heat session. I think automatically you've got to consider that is it for Travis Miller. I don't think that anybody can touch Maxime Plant at this point in time. Certainly nobody other than Travis Miller can touch him. And Travis Miller getting no points more than likely in this heat means we're likely talking about a championship wrapped up this evening for Maxime Plant. But it's not over until it's over. Anything can still happen, and we'll have to do the math after this evening and see exactly how things go. It's going to be tough, but you know what? If Maxime Plant goes out there and finishes last tonight, the window is still open. We'll come to the green flag momentarily. The first green flag of the evening from Lakeland, Florida. So happy to be here with you on PitStop TV. So glad to have these partners alongside with the BRP iRacing series. Of course, Bicknell Racing Products, the namesake of the league, as well as Matt DeRitter Designs, Jam Performance, Pete Costco Haulage, and Miller's Auto Detailing. We're out of turn number 4, coming to the start-finish line in front of all of these fantastic virtual fans. Lap 1 of 8 and heat race number 1 of 2 is underway from USA. Down the back stretch, you see the field of 4 just about, as we've got an internet issue, it looks like, in the back for Hunter Holberg. The field of 4 right down to turn number 3. And at this point, almost guaranteed points for these guys if Holberg keeps having issues. How hard do they race?
Right now, Porter's got a lot to prove. We talked about it in the lead into this race, and I'm surprised at how married to the bottom Porter has been thus far. Through 1 and 2, 3 and 4 in the opening lap. So far, 1 and 2 on lap 2, and in 3 and 4 on lap 2. And Maxime Plant's going to follow him down there. So with the track being treated, as you mentioned, Andrew, the bottom lane appears to have the most grip right now, contrary to what we saw in qualifying. And Porter's fending him off, but for how long?
Maxime knows no other mode than go. He's to the inside of Porter's. The 3 wide behind contact. Corbin Daniels and Hunter Holberg touch. They sort things out. But up front for the raised lead, you see Maxime Plant has gapped that 45 car. A whole lot just happened on lap number 3, but the 79 takes the race lead. You mentioned the bottom side being faster. Look at how far down the racetrack these guys are. That's the name of the game here at USA on a tacky racetrack, however. You've just got to get down there. You've got to get as close to the wall as you can, almost, if not actually, putting your left front on that grass to help the car turn.
We can expect that when we get down to our feature event later on tonight that groove will run up. But for Porter, now he's got to try to find a way up through to and around the driver who has taken a stranglehold in this championship, especially by virtue of his 5 wins this season. You see Porter angling that number 45 into your frame as you watch at home. 2 laps to go now for Plant from another heat race win on the season.
And this would be 4 points for Maxime Plant if he can get it done. Jamie Porter, a misstep out of turn number 2, might have bonked the wall just a little bit. That slows him up and almost assures this heat race win for Maxime Plant so long as he executes, as he always does. 2 laps to go for Maxime Plant, and we're getting this heat race done and dusted quickly. The battle further back has kind of mellowed out. Corbin Daniels and Hunter Holberg have fallen back a little bit of Tanner Correa. You see the 98 and 88 going at it. This is for 1 point. Whoever is able to beat the other gets that one final point in heat race number 1, but up front, it's all Maxime Plant.
Plant's going to be coming to the line here. I was almost a little bit premature with the 2-to-go signal. That's definitely the white flag, and I'm surprised by the margin he's being able to open up over Porter here with just 1 lap to go. Porter seems so quick tonight, but Plant is putting himself in prime position, a position we've seen him before. P1 here to close out heat 1 as he comes off the final corner.
Out of turn number 4, Maxime Plant wraps it up. Travis Miller did get onto the Speedway for Heat 1, but does not take any points. Those 4 points make the margin now 21 for the championship through just heat racing action here at the USA International Speedway. You've got to imagine that that could be the nail in the coffin for Travis Miller. But we've got a heat race to go. We've got to sort out the rest of the starting positions. And starting to the inside of row number 1 in heat race number 2, you're going to find none other than Brett Fisher in the 21 car with Gavin Eisel to his outside, a known bottom feeder in that 18 car. Watch for him early in the going here at USA. Starting 3rd place in heat race number 2, it's the Otmo veteran, literally Hunter Reeve. And boy, that 44 car is always one to watch out for. Can't wait to see how he does here at USA International Speedway. You see his green and white 44 car to the inside of the Silver Bullet, Dean Meitzler in that 49. Starting on the back row, though, of heat number 2, we've got, it looks like just Adam Hilton is actually gridded up. It looks like we do not have Matt Dritter this evening at USA.
Fortunate there not to see Matt DeRitter's name in the mix, so it looks like we're going to have 5 cars total getting set to go to see who will join Maxime Plant as a heat race winner tonight as we're getting set to go green for our second 8-lap heat of the night.
These couple of pace laps here on these short tracks on the iRacing.com sim, they're agonizing sometimes to drivers when there's a whole lot of anticipation to be had, especially getting close to the end of a championship. While these drivers likely are not fighting for a chance at the championship, they are fighting for their own battles. And we talked about points a little while ago, Eric. We can take a look at them once more. You see here, a lot of ties throughout the field, one of them being in this race. Brett Fisher, Adam Hilton enter this evening tied up for 5th. This heat race will likely split those two apart. Again, you get 4 points for winning a heat, 3 for 2nd, 2 for 3rd, and 1 for 4th. Adam Hilton is starting out of the points entirely in this heat. It's going to be ever crucial for him to get up into the points and battle with Brett Fisher if at all possible. Also, Hunter Reeve, look at that, 7th place. He's not so far back of those two. He could grab some important points this evening. And Gavin Eisel wants to hold on to 3rd. If he starts slipping, I know 40 points is a long ways for Jamie Porter to go, but anything could and anything likely will happen this season to wrap things up for the BRP iRacing series. But all I do know is that green flag number 2 is on the way this evening from the USA International Speedway, waiting on the signal from the starter. Barney the flagman gives them a wave, and we're green flag for heat 2. Gavin Eisel very sideways at a turn 2, Eric, and that's what you've got to be so careful of once you get a little bit of slick on the racetrack, but immediately down to the bottom like a bullet, and he takes that lead away from Brett Fisher.
So far, everybody's been able to play nice throughout the first few laps of these heat races here tonight, but we still got ourselves a side-by-side battle at the front of the pack, and it is Fisher trying to get that lead back. A little bit of a slide job there up off the corner. Going to run wide here and be faced by a challenge in turn 3. We'll see if that bottom lane is still as strong as it was in heat 1, with Fisher trying to hold it off up top.
Gavin Eisel takes that lead back away from Brett Fisher. He's got it down to turn 1. Fisher looks to the inside a little bit, right to the back end of the end of this 18 car. Look at how close they get. As you always say, Eric, bringing them right into your living room. Down to turn 3 will go on lap number 3.
Yeah, Eisel is doing an amazing job by not only being able to use that low lane to get himself to the lead, but he's also using it to keep himself in the lead, exactly as what Maxime Plant did on the opening few laps of Heat 1. But we watch here, going through turns 1 and 2, there is no give up. There is no sense of lifting by Brett Fisher, but now he's under fire by Hunter Reeve for 2nd spot on the back straightaway in 3.
Oh, and the 44 moves him up out of the way. Contact in turn 3. That puts Brett Fisher into 3rd. That's only 2 points for him. He will certainly open up a gap, it looks like, over Adam Hilton. But is it enough once we go feature racing? A whole lot to talk about throughout the entire field as far as points go.
Fisher's got a little bit more time here to try to get that spot back. We'll see if he's going to be just as physical here. He holds that number 21. Oh, he might have caught the berm there, or maybe clipped the inside wall than Fisher, trying to get 2nd back.
It was certainly the inside wall. You could hear it on the broadcast. He just bonked that nose into the inside K barriers, and that car went right up the track. He caught it pretty well, though. I got to give it to him. A tip of the cap to Brett Fisher. He hung onto that race car pretty nicely, but now under fire from Dean Meitzler and potentially Adam Hilton. So Brett Fisher's not out of this one just yet. He's got to continue to execute at this point. He's got to get the ship righted as we round now turns number 1 and 2 of lap number 7. 1.5 laps to go for these guys in Heat 2.
And what an amazing job it has been for Int'l, kind of taking a page out of the books that Maxime Plant had written down in heat number 1. Look at the gap back there to Hunter Reeve, the runner-up. He is less than a lap away from a heat race win, and Int'l's trying to put himself in premier position to challenge for victory tonight at USA. He's a half lap away from a heat win.
A bottom feeders racetrack, this could be it for Gavin Int'l to grab his second race win in the BRP iRacing Series. Across the line, he wins heat race number 2. The battle further back, Dean Meisler gives it up. Adam Hilton grabs a point and minimizes the gains from Brett Fisher. How about that? The points battle for 5th is getting spicy.
Yeah, incredible to watch these guys as the season starts to wind down, really tighten things up for the championship points battle all throughout the field. And now we'll come up into formation on the staging lanes, and we'll see how this field is going to come down for the green flag here at USA International. After we saw 2 thrilling heat races, now we'll double the field in size, and let's see how they're going to roll off here for the start. Andrew Cardinale IV, as we get set for another Monday night throwdown here for the BRP.
Starting first, the inside of row number 1, it's none other than the gentleman. There we go, Maxime Plant in the number 79. He's 500 on the season so far. He's won 5 of 10 races. It's incredible what he's able to do in this BRP iRacing Series. He rolls off first, the inside of Heat 2 winner Gavin Int'l. Starting in third place, though, on the inside of row number 2, it's Jamie Porter in that 45. So good this season, a big turnaround season. We want nothing more than success for that 45 car, and I would imagine he's got a pretty good shot at getting it. But also, look at Hunter Reeve to the outside of row 2 for this start. That is big for Hunter in the double 4. Starting to the inside of row number 3, you've got Tana Correa in the number 11, the Wild Child on the inside of Brett Fisher in the 21.
Getting back now to the next row, we got the number 99, Hunter Holberg, looking to try to turn his season around after having flashes of brilliance throughout the season. Adam Hilton trying to find victory lane for the first time. Going to line up outside of row 4. Now we'll take you back to the next row of starters that we have in our field, which will consist of the double 8, driven by Corby Daniels, the Beef, who's going to be rolling off at 9th spot. 10th is going to be down to the number 49 of Dean Meisler. And that is slated to be the number of cars that have come down for the green flag here for our heat races earlier. But we also have Travis Miller in the 22 in the field as well. And Matt DeRitter scored in the 03. I don't see the 03 out there, but I do see Travis Miller making a call for the feature, Andrew. So that's big as far as championship implications, potentially.
But it's got the entire field to roll through, and I'm just not so sure that he's going to be able to do it while putting Maxime Plant really anywhere in this field other than maybe a top 5. Only 11 cars here at USA. Maxime Plant, things are looking good if you're the 79 car. Out of turn number 4, looking for the green flag. Maxime Plant is going to find it. The green silk drops. We're off and away at USA. Immediately jumbling up 3 wide down the backstretch. Hunter Reeve moves up to 3rd, and look at this send from Gavin Int'l, lap 1 down to the bottom side at USA. He almost took that lead.
Now, Int'l went to the bottom immediately, which worked for him in Heat 2. Plant may have clipped the inside wall coming off a 2, and here's Int'l again working the bottom side. Reeves trying to fill the hole up top. Top 3 knotted together. Int'l working low. Plant trying to defend both lanes. Hunter Reeve looks strong tonight, and the top 3 continue to wad up off turn 4, battling for the lead early.
Lap 2 now complete here at the USA International Speedway. Gavin Int'l still working down low. He is a bottom feeder, a catfish for sure, but he loses that second spot and gives that up to Hunter Reeve. This could be a career day for this 44 car, up into second on lap number 3.
Told the story many a times about Hunter Reeves, somebody who we've seen in the beneficiary ranks for Operation E Motorsports and how he found the sport of sim racing here, especially on the iRacing platform. And he has taken such a liking to this dirt style car, especially these BRP dirt late models, and he has figured it out, and he's going to try to take it to the most dominant driver on the field this season. Maxime Plant ahead of him, 5 wins, championship points lead, perhaps en route to a championship. But Hunter Reed doesn't care. He wants to grab top honors tonight, and he's got the car to do it. At least it appears so here as we inch closer to the quarter distance mark of this feature.
He's at least the closest to doing it so far. You mentioned the story with the Operation Motorsport. He is a beneficiary. What that means is Operation Motorsport used their foundation to put him into a motorsport role as a form of rehabilitation and recuperation as a veteran. He served overseas for us here in the United States. Can't thank him enough for what he's done. And now he's trying to put the pedal to the metal. There we go. I almost said that the other way around. The metal to the pedal. No, putting the pedal to the metal. There we go. On lap number 7 of 40. He's chasing down Maxime Platt. He's lost a little bit of time, Eric, sure. But this is, again, a career day for him. Usually we see him in sports cars, be it a GT4 car, a Mazda Miata, what have you. We've usually seen him in sports cars on some of America's best road courses. Sebring, Watkins Glen, Road America, they come to mind. But this evening, he's showing that he can do it on dirt as well. He's had a pretty decent season so far. Not exactly anything to be, I guess, over the moon about, but certainly something to be happy with and something to build from. But this is a run to be over the moon about, even if it doesn't end quite this way. To be second early on in this race and holding it right now, this is big. You see the field spreading out through turns 1 and 2, and Hunter Reed is holding things again in that second spot. Jamie Porter in third, Gavin Eisel in fourth. I don't know exactly if anybody can kind of use that bottom side at this point, Eric. It seems like it's really fallen away. You can see it's really dried out. And even Gavin Eisel, the guy that we know to go down low, is working up top and starting to work that cushion in.
And we've now eclipsed the point that we've seen throughout the heat races where that bottom lane was able to last for over 8 laps. We're now 10 laps in, about to complete lap number 10 of this 40-lap feature event. And somebody like Eisel here, as he works on the backside of Jamie Porter, you might have to start pulling a couple slide jobs and maybe roughing a guy up here to start making up some ground. And time is starting to wear thin. The hourglass is ticking by, and now we're going to see Porter work the bottom side of Hunter Reed, maybe to get up to second spot. Couldn't hold it down low. Washes up wide off the corner, and Eisel dumps down low inside for third.
Suddenly the flagship driver for Beef Esports, Jamie Porter, doing battle now for third place with Gavin Eisel. To the outside, to the inside, back to the outside, then back to the inside. We see Porter right down to the bottom side. Not quite a slider, but working that bottom as best as he can, pedaling it down there in the dry slick. But it's just nothing for Gavin Eisel right now around the top side. It feels a lot like Kokomo, just a whole lot bigger.
Yeah, and that's the one incredible thing about this racetrack. We talk about it being a fixture for late model racing, but with this dirt fixture and the dirt status, it appears as though that the wall is the place that you want to be, and it's also making passing very hard. You see here Adam Hilton trying to fend off a challenge in a 4-car knot that comes off the turn 2 and down the back straightaway. Brett Fisher, who is fast, and there's Travis Miller. That's the red and black car, the 22, trying to work the bottom side. We talked about the pressure that he's under tonight, especially considering the championship implications. He's got a lot of work to do and not a lot of time to get it done, Andrew, and he's trapped right now.
And the big thing, Eric, is we were told pre-race that if these guys get cautions this evening, we are counting caution laps because of the size of this facility, 3/4 of a mile. So if we do get cautions, Travis Miller doesn't just quite get a reset, he loses laps. He's not going to be able to use the caution quite to his advantage like anywhere else. As you can see, he's pulling wheelies down into the corner, nailing that inside line. He grabs that position from Tanner Correa. That's good for 7th. Move him up a marker. But now he's behind Brett Fisher, somebody who ran really well in qualifying and his heat race. And he's got to get by Adam Hilton. That's just for the top 5. Then he's got to somehow reel in Jamie Porter, Gavin Eisel, and Hunter Reed. And that is only if he wants to move into second.
And we're not exactly sure why or how Miller missed the call for the heat race, but nevertheless, it certainly put him behind the 8 ball. Got a good run here on Brett Fisher on the back straightaway. Pretty much the only car we're seeing use that bottom lane. There's that slide job to perfection. Going to slide up there between Hilton as well as Fisher to move up one more spot. Hilton will get him up into the top 5 here, but there's a lot of road to make up here to catch up to the next group of cars that Jamie Porter is holding down in 4th, and Hilton gets loose off 2.
That just opens the door so perfectly for Travis Miller to go right on through, so the thriller doesn't have to thrill anymore. All he's got to do at this point, well, he's up to 5th. Something I thought he couldn't do as it was, at least not that quickly. He's defying odds right now. He has a chance to get up there and run those guys down, but he is some 3.5 seconds, it looks like, behind his nearest competition out in front. Look at this. 3.5 seconds up to Jamie Porter. That is a huge gap. I don't care what track it is, what car you're in. That is massive. Meanwhile, we can see up ahead, there's a battle for second place. Gavin Eisel uses the bottom, and one car spins around. I think that is Corby Daniels, and it is.
Problems for Corby Daniels in turns 1 and 2, and that will slow the field for the first time and introduce the element that you were just talking about, Andrew, the fact that caution laps tonight, due to the size of this racetrack, are going to count. So this will count towards the lap total that we had set for tonight as far as 40 laps. And here is Corby Daniels working the bottom side of 3 and 4, and we'll see where Beef ended up having his bit of a problem. That car really loose off the corner, similar to what we saw happen to Adam Hilton many times off too. Tried to use the bottom, came in a little bit too low. Left front caught the berm on the inside. And fortunately, Brett Fisher was able to narrowly get by the spinning car and not make that a 2-car crash in turn 1.
It's actually Gavin Eisel that misses the spinning 88 to the bottom side, and this is the battle I was talking about. I saw the times get close, and suddenly I saw it side by side up ahead, but it was as that spin happens in front of Gavin. I can't imagine what that's like as a driver. Well, I can't imagine. I've seen it a few times, but I can't imagine what it's like on dirt when you've got limited control of what these cars can do. To see somebody spinning right in front of you, we've seen it time and time again, it seems like, this season. But again, it never gets old, and it never stops being so surprising.
Yeah, my mistake there with misidentifying that car. That was certainly the driver who was running second in this race, in Gavin Eisel, who narrowly got taken out there by that misfortune that took place literally quite at the halfway point. So this is a good reset, though. I'll tell you what, Andrew, I like the fact that I'm watching Travis Miller come from the back of the field now up into the top 5. This restart's exactly what he needed. I know he doesn't want to lose the caution last, but the gap that he had to overcome to try to catch up to Jamie Porter, who held 4th, this is what Miller was looking for here, an opportunity to at least see the leaders again, and he's got it.
Double file for this restart coming right about halfway. This is interesting. Travis Miller, you're right, he gets an opportunity here, but he's losing laps, precious laps that he needs if he wants to bring the fight. Anybody you see Jamie Porter blink out momentarily comes right back. And that is his teammate. I wonder if Jamie might take it easy on him. I doubt it. We've seen them race hard before, but I wonder if Jamie might, if Travis gets a nose on him, go ahead and let him go. Only time will tell, but Maxime Plant has the race lead coming down to the restart. You see Gavin Eisel to the bottom side. I just don't know what anybody can do about that 79 car leading this race. We're going to find out shortly as the green flag is back out at USA. The bottom line stacks up, and that takes Travis Miller along with.
And Miller's going to get checked up there. Look at how aggressively they attacked the inside on the entry to turn number 1 that time. Miller got the left sides off into the grass and retained 5th potentially. Brett Fisher now working outside, and here's the battle for second with Porter all over Eisel in what is a fight that is materializing off 4.
Miller has fallen way back off of that restart. He only lost 1 spot, but the time he lost is more important. He falls behind Brett Fisher, and he's got to fight from behind in Adam Hilton. Now working the bottom side. He's got a bit of a gap, that 22 car does, but he's got to redo everything for that position right in front, and then some.
And he had to work hard to get back up into that 5th spot. Somebody who has not had to work all that much hard here tonight, at least from our perspective, it is that of Maxime Plant, who is right where he belongs. Every time I turn on one of the BRP broadcasts, he's running in P1, but he's got a couple of hungry hounds behind him, including this driver in the 45, and Jamie Porter, who we mentioned coming into tonight's broadcast, winless this season. How long will he be able or willing to put up with that? Opportunity starting to grow thin. He's been very fast all night long, but he's got a couple of cars between himself and victory lane here at USA, and he's coming up on just over 10 laps to go to get the job done, and Plant is starting to open up some distance on what is about to be a 2-car battle for second.
I will say, and I hate to correct you against, I know you're going to feel kind of bad, but Jamie Porter did grab a win this season, but it was his first in the series, and that's huge for Jamie Porter. We've been seeing this trend upward for the 45 car, but in the last couple of weeks, he's kind of been mired behind these guys, Maxime Plant, Gavin Eisel, Travis Miller even, who moves to the inside of him, and almost takes that spot away. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the 22 car is a-moving, but with giving up 4 points to Maxime Plant, he's not only got to pass that 79 car, but put him several positions behind it. And it's just not going to happen. There's no way, even if he gets up there and passes Maxime, there's no way, I don't think, that Gavin Isel or Jimmy Porter get by.
Yeah, that's my mistake there. I was confusing the racing resume of 2021 with that of both not only Brett Fisher and Jamie Porter, so that's on me. But it's been a blast to watch Travis Miller work his way up towards the front of the pack here. And, boy, he's put himself in some precarious positions to make it happen, though.
Into turns 3 and 4, Miller still ripping the top side. You see Porter now down low trying to find something. Isel has gone down there recently as well. I'm surprised they're trying this late in the race, but you can see the slick starting to work its way up. I still think there's good dirt. I'm surprised they're working the bottom.
Isel now, I think at this point, everybody's in a little bit of a research and development mode here. You're coming up on 10 laps to go. You can see that Maxime Plant is just opening up the gap here. Might as well go down there and try to clip the grass. And I'll tell you right now, Gavin Isel may start to found something there. In the middle of the corner, at least. The margin's not closing all that much. And look, Maxime Plant responds. He now moves to the inside in 1 and 2. So perhaps the field is starting to teach the leader a little bit of something about where the grip may be at this point of the race, and it looks as though that Isel's starting to close here.
And Jamie Porter holds tough up on the top side, but you see Miller's gone down, Isel's gone down. Now you see Maxime Plant, like you said, covering up that bottom side a little bit. And that's something Travis Miller tried to do last week, as that was a big slide for Gavin Isel out of turn 2. That's going to open up the gap a lot. But that was something we started to see out of Miller last week at Kokomo, except once the top side was the fast line again, he didn't go back up. What he has done differently this evening is he's gone back up to the top, at least in 3 and 4 that time. He now works down low in 1 and 2, but he's searching around a lot more. I think he's keeping himself a lot more abreast of the track changing, as opposed to last week, just going with the line that he saw Gavin Isel using and sticking to it. Now, again, you see it at the top side in 3 and 4, so he's doing things different. He's trying to find something, and he is digging properly.
Fortunately for Travis Miller, though, time is starting to run out here. An impressive charge from towards the tail end of the pack here. As you see, Gavin Isel almost gets sucked into the wall in 1 and 2. That's going to tighten up this battle for second, while Maxime Plant continues to grin from ear to ear, watching things tighten up behind him, as Miller now runs the middle of the road in that 22 off of 4, closing up on Isel in what may be a battle up for second. You have to wonder, Andrew, that Miller has to be wondering what could have been if he made it out for that heat race. He's got the pace to match the driver he's chasing in the standings, but without the results, it's going to be all for naught potentially, with Miller now running out of time, not only in this race, but also in this season.
Miller and Porter are matching Maxime's lap times right now. We'll see how it changes across the line this time. And Miller's 4/10 faster. He's got speed. It's all coming at the wrong time, and he didn't make it out into the heat race. I don't know why. I'm sure we'll find out here shortly. But I got to imagine that if he had been there, this would not be the case right now. We might be having a battle for the race lead like we've had so many times over and over this season. But as the track starts to wear out, those advantages in lap times are starting to go the other way, and it's changing each and every lap. Maxime Plant was slow the last 2 laps. Now he picks it up. Gavin Isel drops off a little bit, as does Travis Miller. Jamie Porter is even a little bit slower that lap. So things are moving around, and at this point, it's the driver versus the track.
This is the best race we've got going on for second on back. Isel, Miller, and now you're on board with Porter, who runs about the 4th car in line here, 3rd in this knot, that are fighting it out for second spot on back. And Miller's run up towards the front appears to have stalled a little bit here behind Isel. Not sure he's going to be able to find a way by here in the final few laps, but it's all going on behind a familiar name who has been able to lock down the front of the field, as Miller goes way wide off in turn 4. They kiss the concrete as he comes down to the line here, and Porter's able to try and pounce, but he too almost scrubbed the wall.
And that all but does it for Travis Miller. It's going to take a big send to get by Gavin Isel now, and even that is going to put him a lot of points behind Maxime Plant. It's going to take some 13 points or more these next 2 weeks if he wants to try and capitalize and take this championship away from this guy, Travis Miller, or not Travis Miller, Maxime Plant, obviously, in that 79 car. The gentleman still working the bottom side, so gentlemanly down there. Very gentle with that bottom. I mean, there's only so many different ways you can describe Maxime Plant other than almost perfect. Sure, he hasn't won every single race, but he's been in the conversation each and every time. And out of turn number 4, he has now won. Oh my goodness! I think he's just run out of fuel. What?
What happened there? Plant is going to get the win, but boy, ISO came right up on him and bounced off the side of him, went up into the air. Miller scored with 3rd, but what happened there coming to the checkered flag for Maxime Plant? That was crazy.
I'm still unsure. I've seen a lot of things in my day on iRacing. That might be a new one. We'll go on board with Maxime Plant these last few laps, and we'll try and diagnose what happens here for the driver of the 79. Now, this, I believe, is 2 to go. He should come around and take the white flag this time around. You can see the gap from the onboard here with Maxime Plant. You see how big of a deficit that is, and that's where they got... No, this is the checkers. I think he ran out of gas.
It was kind of fitting there, Andrew, that as that car slowed, it's almost like he saw ISO coming and drifted back up driver's right, maybe, to try to stop the momentum of ISO closing up as quickly as he did. I mean, that was exceptionally bizarre as far as coming to the finish line.
The car was surging. He was out of gas. He had done something differently. He had kept the car in the power band more than anybody else, apparently, because he ran out of gas, and nobody else really had that problem. You can watch the tachometer on the right side of the car, and you can see out of turn 4 it starts to stumble. We'll take this one more time, and when we get out of turn 4, I'll slow this down. Watch the tach by his right hand. I know it's going to be tough for some of you to see it, but it's at 47.48. Right around 4,700 RPMs. He gasses up into the 7,000s or so, and it immediately drops to 4. You can see it stumbling up, down, into the 5,000s or so. He turns right, and I mean, it is just enough.
And that move to the right there may have been to try to fend off ISO, who was coming
absolutely.
with a full head of steam. Yeah, without that problem. I mean, the box score is going to put that finish a heck of a lot closer than what it really was all night long. Maxime Plant had the car to beat, but man, it got close there at the end. That was a little bit surprising. We were actually thinking beforehand that, maybe running 40 laps on a track that is 3/4 of a mile in length would be a little bit tight on fuel for some of these guys. Didn't seem to be that big of a concern. But for Plant, as you mentioned, whether it be driving style or line choice, he burned up a little bit more than everybody else, and coming to the finish line here, it nearly cost him the win. I mean, this was really, really close.
And it's close for not just this race win, but it's close for third and fourth as well. Look at how close this gets for these guys. I mean, Gavin is digging underneath, and we don't have a line painted on dirt, but you can see there just how close it was at the start-finish line underneath the flag stand. That's incredible. I truly cannot believe what we were just witness to at the USA International Speedway. All of Maxime's hopes and dreams almost went down the drain. Imagine if that car had stumbled moments sooner. Travis Miller could have potentially grabbed the win, because at that point, who knows what's going to happen. He could have potentially grabbed the win, and Maxime could have come home fourth. That could have been a big dent in the championship. If that car stumbles even moments sooner, we're talking about an entirely different picture for this title. At that point, that comes down to luck. There's no other way to put it. We'll watch this one more time at a turn 4.
I just can't get over how close this was. I mean, at this point, Maxime Plant had about a football field over the competition, and that car stumbled so badly that it allowed Gavin ISO a chance to close on up and get within about a half a car length, maybe less than that. I'd say it was even just a front bumper width here. It'll be the next time through. And you saw the gap there. I mean, Maxime Plant had worked himself up to a pretty significant advantage, and ISO barely in the frame at this point on the back straightaway off of turn 2. And when that car stumbles, as you mentioned, Andrew, as soon as he gets back into the power off the corner, I mean, ISO's coming with a full head of steam. And if it wasn't for that quick fade to the right that Maxime Plant had, I mean, this closing rate here is nearly catastrophic for both of these cars, more so for Plant if he wasn't able to try to shut the door in time. And it turns out to be an exceptionally close finish, maybe even one of the closest of the season, I would say, as far as side-by-side at the start-finish line. Like, we're not even up to the flagman yet, and you can see ISO is up to the numbers, starting to forge ahead, and then suddenly running out of room there after Plant squeezed him up into the fence as they pass the start-finish line. I would call that about a quarter car length margin of victory. And then, of course, Miller and company come in with nowhere to go. Now that the front two have broken their momentum and slowed down so much after bouncing off each other.
Simply incredible from the USA International Speedway. This series somehow always excites. It never ceases to amaze me what they're able to do here in the BRP iRacing series. We're going to take a step away here in just a moment. We'll be right back to you with post-race coverage from USA. What a finish. That's about the only way you can wrap that one up from USA. It was fun, and I can't wait to talk to these drivers. Stick with us here at PitStop TV.
Sound Art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it Sound Art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound Art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Welcome back to the virtual USA International Speedway. I know it says 0.6 of a mile, but I promise you it's 3/4 of a mile here in Lakeland, Florida. Virtual Lakeland, Florida, that is. Now the site of an Amazon hub and PepsiCo bottling center. Well, this certainly was a great racetrack at the very least, and is a great racetrack on the iRacing.com service. A whole lot to be had here at USA. And boy, what a finish it supplied. Just imagine, if you will, one more caution lap at some point, or one more caution in general. Suddenly we could be talking about a lot more drivers out of fuel. Certainly Maxime Plant may not have won this race, almost definitely would not have won this race, but has just enough in the tank to get it done. Can't wait to bring him in and talk to him. Maxime, wow. Wow, what a finish.
Yeah, I just started to run out of gas when I exit the corner, so that's why the finish was really crazy.
Oh, we were able to go back and see the stumbles out of turn 4. Were you aware at any point before it stumbling out of turn 4 that you were going to run out of fuel? Did you know at all?
No, I don't really know why I don't have the fuel to finish that race, but that's not my strategy.
So you hung it outside a lot, but you did seem to run in the slick there towards the end of the race. I think more often than not in the last 10 or so laps, you were definitely protecting that bottom side. Do you think it could have been keeping the RPMs up? Do you think it could have been burning more fuel that way?
Maybe the fuels burn much when you're full throttle outside. That's why when we have a spotter on the iRacing, so the original spotters, he say you have 5 laps on fuel. So let's go. Oh shit, we have 5 laps to go, and you just say 5 laps to fuel. So that's why I go inside and try to protect the fuel, to save the fuel for the end of the race.
Well, that certainly explains a lot more. Now, you take every single category this evening. You didn't quite qualify first, so I guess you don't take every single checkbox, but you started first in the feature by winning the heat race. You kept it in first all night long. You led every single lap, all 40. This obviously puts you in a fantastic spot for the championship. Do you think there's any way you lose it at this point, or are you feeling pretty good?
I'm thinking pretty good. I know I need to finish in top 5 or top 3 every race to keep the point. But I really need to finish a race. And that's why I need to be concentration, to keep my concentration, to stay in front. And if I finish second or third, it's okay. But I need to finish my race.
Well, you were stone cold to all of the pressure this evening, and you lengthen your championship lead. Congratulations, buddy. Now 6 wins out of 11 races. Who makes it happen for you?
Yeah, thanks a lot for this, for you guys, the broadcast and the live. That's amazing for us, for my sponsor and my family. Watch every race every night. So thanks a lot for you guys, and thanks to friends and family.
Absolutely, Maxime. Fantastic run this evening. Domination at its finest, much like we're so used to seeing from that number 79. Congratulations, buddy. Live it up. We'll see you next week at Fairbury.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Maxime Plant getting it done from USA. Apologies for the quick slip-up of language there from him, but I can only imagine he's got to be pretty excited here. Eric gets another win, and this puts him above 500 on the season.
Absolutely incredible run for him. One driver who came, we'll call it, less than a quarter of a gallon of fuel away from Maxime Plant's tank from taking the win away, is, of course, Gavin Isel. And Gavin, I'll tell you what, you had speed all night long, and you went to the bottom very quickly. Well, I don't want to say quickly. Let's call it in the latter stages, and you started to eat up some of that gap on a leader. Was there an element of where you kind of wished you did that a little bit sooner, or were you just in the experimental stages once Maxime got out to that healthy lead after that one and only restart?
I was just trying to make up ground on him, but he was pretty smooth and consistent. And when he saw I moved down there and started catching him, he did the same thing. So, and he was faster than me anyway, so it was hard fought, but it was alright.
I think we were all caught off guard by coming off the final corner when that car suddenly slowed and you came with a full head of steam, obviously with enough fuel to make it to the finish line, and Maxime kind of faded over a little bit there to kind of not give you enough of an avenue to get by between his car and the wall. At what moment did you realize that he was out of fuel or had a problem, and did you think that you had a shot to nip him at the line?
Kind of noticed it going in turn 3. His car, I caught him really fast going in. Then I may have been able to beat him to the line if he didn't pull up the track, but it was his race to win anyway. He was a lot faster, just unfortunately ran out of fuel, but the way it goes.
And I was going to ask you about that, that particular moment there. I mean, if the roles were reversed, do you feel that you would have done the same thing, try to fill that hole and not make it possible for the opposing car to get by? Or would you have taken it that maybe it just wasn't your day, wasn't meant to be? What were your thoughts there on the final, quite literally 400 feet of racing room that you guys had coming to the checkers?
I don't know. He was definitely faster, but I would have. But yeah.
Well, nevertheless, it's really good. It's really good to have your season kind of shift in this upward direction here. I know that we're talking about the names like that of Plant as well as Miller, and they're vying for perhaps the season-long championship. But for you, you're trying to end the season on a high note after posting solid results pretty much throughout the entire campaign. But you've got to be itching to get back to victory lane. I know second isn't what you were hoping for, but Is this a step in the right direction for you as we start to wind down this late model season?
So it's starting to get a little more consistent, but yeah, I'd always like to get the win, but if it don't happen, it don't happen. It's meant to be or not meant to be.
Well, you had to settle for second by an exceptionally narrow margin there at the finish. It was an exciting finish that I don't think any of us in the broadcast booth were anticipating, let alone you guys who were out there on the track. But you got a lot to be proud of with this runner-up finish here. I know we only got a couple more races still to go in the season. Who do you have to thank, Gavin, who make these events and these positive results possible for you?
I'd like to thank Performance Automotive, Speedstyle Graphics, Alex Payne for making the wrap on the car, you guys for streaming it, and B for putting this whole series together.
Well, we appreciate having talents and drivers like yourself, Gavin, because that was a thriller all the way throughout. And, sorry it came up just a little bit short there, a little bit more luck on your side. I think you would have had him at the finish line. The good news is, though, we got a few more races to hopefully see that car and you as a driver in victory lane. Gavin Isel, great job tonight with the second-place finish, bud.
Thank you very much.
Again, that is Gavin Isel, our runner-up there, as we mentioned, by an exceptionally narrow margin after Maxime Plant ran out of fuel coming to the finish line. But Andrew Cardinale IV, the hard charge of the race by far, was that of Travis Miller from the back row. I don't think any of us thought that he was going to be able to make his way on up into the top three. Well, he did, and I think we're all wondering what could have been. You're standing by with our third-place runner, Travis Miller.
And we know that Travis Miller is always fast, but it's a matter of how fast will we unload for these BRP iRacing Series events. Travis, I got to ask first. We'll just go in order, I suppose. Where were you in Heat 1?
I had a power spike at my house, so right after my second qualifying lap, everything shut off, and I had to wait for my router to boot back up, and I couldn't get back in time, and I was able to get back out for like 3 laps, but I was already 5 laps down, so just had to make that rush and just shot down the field for the future.
And starting 11th, there were certainly a lot of positions ahead of you, but it was difficult to gain them. We saw you make quick work of the first few, but you got kind of lopped into that midfield for a good long while. What was it like battling with those guys, knowing that you were already 4 points behind Maxime on the day, and you had to get up there and find some way to battle?
Yeah, it was definitely tough for sure. I think after I got around a couple of those guys at the top, there was like a 3-car pack in front of me, and for about 10 laps, I really couldn't figure out how to get better at the top to get around them. And then I finally figured out something that got me a little closer and was able to throw a couple sliders just to try and gain the positions. And we got that caution that came out, which was nice to get a bunch of field back up, and then just tried to pick them off again. And then that restart just kind of screwed me for the getting so tight there. But that's how it goes.
Let's talk championship points. I know it's got to sting right now. It's got to feel like a slap in the face after, well, just not having a chance at all in the heat race and having to come back through the field in the feature. But the mountain is getting a bit taller. Losing 4 points in the heat race, of course. Maxime grabbing an extra couple of points on top of the points that he's ahead of you in the positions because he led the most laps. How do you try and recuperate? How do you try and get back at him knowing that it's going to be, if I had to guess, about 25 points you got to make up in 2 races?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think he just has to have misfortune. We got to win both the races, which I really don't see happening. I mean, you can all hope that it happens, but if we're going statistic-wise, he hasn't really had a bad race all year, and that's what it takes to win the championship, right? So, unfortunately, we had a couple bad races early in the season, and that was behind, and we've been trying to play catch-up, and we haven't been able to do it that well, so we just got to go out and try and win the next 2 and see how it goes. But finishing second to Max isn't all that bad. I can live with that for sure.
It's certainly been a fun season watching you try and get another championship. Best of luck in the next couple of weeks, buddies. Who makes it happen for you?
I just got to thank Miller's Auto Detailing, Gasson's Auto Sales, Beefy Sports, and the BRP iRacing Series for all he does putting all this on. Jam Performance, MDR Designs, Costco Racing. We got some of the Costco Racing boys watching tonight, so shout out to them, and thanks to you guys for putting this on.
So Travis Miller quite can't keep grasp of the points gap ahead, but certainly does a pretty good job nonetheless, buddy. Congratulations on being the hard charger and certainly making the best of a pretty interesting situation.
Sure, thanks guys. Have a good one.
Travis Miller getting it done from USA. Again, not the night he wanted at all in any way, shape, or form, but there are good things to be had, I'd say, from this finish and from this race. There are good takeaways. That's the big thing for Travis. And he's going to leave this evening, I guess, 25 points. It's going to be a little bit worse. It's going to be 28. I'm not sure how you get 14 points on Maxime Plant in one race, let alone back-to-back.
It's going to be contingent on a couple things, one of which car count, fortune, but I sympathize with Travis Miller. I've had internet problems all night long, so I'm right there with him as far as being behind the eight ball a little bit as far as tonight's racing program. But the one thing to consider, the same thing could happen to Maxime. So, we talk about these crazy scenarios. I mean, it happened in the Cup race this past weekend where Kyle Larson blew a tire in the last corner of the last lap. Like, something can come up, even though the performance trajectory for our point leader in Maxime Plant doesn't appear to look like it is going to predict a coming off of the rails, if you will. But that reality still exists. There are still some real-life elements here and a lot of luck that factors into these results. And, if I'm Travis Miller, I'm going to hold on to those and think maybe, you know what, I've had my mulligans. It's his turn here. And if that happens, it'll tighten things up here in the final few weeks. But otherwise, I think he's just got to keep chasing checkered flags and trophies to close out his season. But it's hard to turn our attention away from the dominance that has been that of Maxime Plant. I mean, as you mentioned, batting over 500 so far this season. It's a pretty incredible win percentage for someone in a series and a car and this level of tracks that have been so tough.
I find it interesting. You mentioned Kyle Larson at Pocono this weekend. Kyle Busch lost all gears aside from fourth. The transmission was stuck in fourth gear, and somehow, despite being stuck in fourth gear for pit stops and restarts, was able to nurse that car around. And obviously, being stuck in fourth means you're getting pretty good fuel economy, saved enough fuel to win at Pocono. So while you can have detriments take you out of the race suddenly, like we almost saw with Maxime Plant, much like Kyle Larson, you can also have just enough fuel in the tank like Maxime Plant did, like Kyle Busch did, to win the race. So almost like a tale of two Kyles within Maxime Plant this evening. Regardless, wins by just 0.02 of a second at USA. That doesn't quite tell the whole story. Gavin Eisel finishes second, Travis Miller third, Jimmy Porter fourth, Hunter Reeve checks in with a top five.
Yeah, incredible job by Hunter Reeve, we were talking about earlier. And then you got to go back to about the sixth spot, where you find Tanner Correa, who had an amazing run there. Not a name that we called on a lot throughout the night, but somebody who did stay in that cluster from about fourth to seventh all throughout. A great run there to come home at about the sixth spot. Brett Fisher was the name that I had on the top of my mind. He was one of the highest drivers coming into the night in the points without a victory. Thought tonight maybe his night by virtue of the strong run in the heat race. Kind of got binned down to the bottom early, fell back to about seventh position where he came home with the checkered flag. And Adam Hilton was another one who, as the race went on, that car appeared to get so loose off turn two, just couldn't really hang on to it and fell back into eighth. Dean Meitzler, quiet night for him in the ninth spot. And then you see Hunter Holberg, who, we talk about just trying to shake off bad luck. I think that's Holberg's agenda here for these last couple of races that are coming up, because if he can keep that car in one piece, going in the right direction, he's usually fast, but the results just have not been there. And as you can see, he came across the line here, one lap down in 10th.
The final two cars in the field, well, really the final one car in the field, is Corby Daniels, Matt DeRitter in the session this evening, but not racing. I would imagine potentially helping as an admin, but still listed as a driver this evening. Certainly a smaller field, so what I want you to do, what I want you viewers to do, what I want to do then and tell you viewers is, if you're watching, if you're on iRacing, if you like dirt racing, contact the BRP iRacing series on Facebook at facebook.com/the BRP iRacing series. You can find them on Twitter as well. You can go through our social media. We can get you in contact with them. If you are on iRacing and you're watching this, you're hearing my voice, you're hearing Eric's voice, you're seeing the picture, and you like dirt racing, you've got to get in with these guys. It's a fantastic league. We just need a few more drivers, it seems like, and I'm not sure where the drivers earlier on in the season have gone. Earl Jackson won a race back at Lima Land. He hasn't been around very often since. What I do know is a lot of these guys have real-life obligations, so you are racing with a lot of guys who run modifieds in real life. A lot of these guys are northern, from Canada or the Northeast. They run big block modifieds or 358 modifieds or sportsman modifieds, whatever it may be at their racetrack. They run a lot of real cars. They've got a lot of real-life experience. They can help you out. Even if you're new to dirt racing, you've got to get involved with these guys. It's a fantastic league. They just need a little bit of help in the driver category throughout racing season, it seems like. But once we get to winter, boy, these guys ramp things up, and it's one of the best dirt leagues on iRacing. We've got a lot more to look forward to this week, Eric. Certainly a lot coming up. This is only a quick snapshot of what we have the rest of the next 7 days or so. Tomorrow, we don't have the Nork iRacing Series. Instead, it's the FTRL, the Full Throttle Racing League, the Substitute 150 from Talladega Superspeedway, NASCAR trucks at Talladega. And if you don't know, FTRL is just about the same group of drivers as you see in Nork. So while we don't have Nork iRacing Series points racing action, we do have FTRL. Many of the same drivers, much the same concept, but it's a fun race with a Nork off week. FTRL wanted to fire things up, and I am so gracious to Anthony Emery and, more importantly, Jared Darling at FTRL for coming to us to broadcast this event tomorrow night. So thrilled to be bringing you coverage of the Substitute 150 tomorrow night from Talladega. Make sure to be there, 6:40 p.m. Eastern. You see it there on your screen, as well as Wednesday. The Outlaws Sim Series is taking to the high banks of Daytona in their Clash. This is special to me as well. Collaborated with Emerson Arden throughout the last few months to bring Outlaws Sim Series to PitStop TV. It's been his baby over there on his own broadcasting at EWRL, Extreme World Racing League. But Emerson was gracious enough to work with us to bring this coverage to PitStop TV. Not much is changing, but I want to help elevate the package. I want to help give these guys fantastic broadcasting, and that's what we're doing. We're going to have Emerson Arden on the call as per usual. Jacob Zala will be there. We're going to have Vinny Cortez on social media. I cannot wait to get this show rolling with the Outlaws Sim Series. Again, the Clash at Daytona, non-points, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Be there. And again, I'm going to tell you to be there Friday for the MSRA National Series. We just recently picked up the MSRA Truck Series, Eric, and they've been having fantastic racing. We've had Emerson Arden, Jacob Zala on the call for both Nashville and Pocono, and now we get to bring you National Series coverage. A bit more, I think, intermittent with our coverage, more certainly this season with National Series, but we're looking to certainly increase what we're doing with MSRA over the course of time, and it starts with this Friday, Road America in their National Series. It's mid-season, a lot of playoff battles are forming up, and I can't wait to bring coverage of that race to you as well here on PitStop TV.
It's a stacked week, as always, here on the platform, and there are so many different avenues in which these people can watch some of these races. And for me, pardon me, there's so much that I'm looking forward to, because I get to see all sorts of different types of vehicles. We have dirt late models here tonight, the trucks tomorrow. Normally we have the Nork Series, which is running the Xfinity body car. You mentioned all these other new series that we pull into play, and there's always something happening. And here's how you could stay abreast as to all that PitStop TV is covering. Facebook.com/PitStopTV/ Instagram.com/Pit_Stop_TV/ there as well. Twitter, of course, where we had Trey Shuttlesworth on our social media tonight. I took a quick glance at some of the stuff that he was throwing up there. What an amazing job he did all night long there as well. Twitter.com/PitStopTV_. And lastly, my go-to, once we log off here tonight, I'll be on the call tomorrow night. Wednesday night, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to have my Roku open on the YouTube app, and it's going to be at youtube.com/C/PitStopTV1/ to assure that I can hear all of the guys calling the action for that race that'll be coming up for the Outlaw Sim Series Clash at Daytona. I'll probably be doing the same on Friday night as well with the MSRA National Series at Road America. It's a full plethora of racing. Everybody here does an amazing job. Andrew, of course, you're at the pinnacle of it here at PitStop TV, and I appreciate being a part of it.
You're too
even
kind.
When Spectrum doesn't always cooperate on my end, but it is totally appreciated by all parties involved, and there is just so much to keep tabs on. The entertainment level is always at a maximum high.
You're too kind, Eric, but it has been a wild few weeks. Eric and I, 1 week ago, we were at the Charlotte Motor Speedway with summer shootout coverage, and, I mean, it just never stops. I know Emerson, he had 4 broadcasts last week. I got to thank him so much for stepping up, or maybe it was the week prior. I don't know. It all blends together at this point, and I really got to shout out Trey Shuttlesworth on the coverage this evening. He's on here so often. It seems like he's always a part of our broadcasts, even when Emerson sometimes isn't. When he does get his rare night off, it seems like Trey Shuttlesworth is always around, and certainly his work is always appreciated. It's been a fun one this evening from the USA International Speedway, but that will do it. Happy to have had you all here tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Again, so much to look forward to. I want to bring this back up one more time. There's a lot to watch this week. FTRL, the Substitute 150 at Talladega tomorrow night. Then the Outlaw Sim Series Clash, non-points racing 2 nights in a row on restricted plate tracks. That is the most exciting part. We've got trucks 2 nights in a row on plate tracks. Talladega, then Daytona. You do not want to miss this week of action. Then, of course, we've got the MSRA National Series from Road America, NASCAR Xfinity Series cars on a fantastic road course. It's going to be tons of fun. And it wraps back into a normal race week. We'll have BRP next week from Fairbury. We'll have Nork next week. Their duels from Talladega. Then we open up the Outlaw Sim Series properly with race 1 at Daytona. We'll have MSRA with their truck series at Knoxville next week. There's so much to look forward to coming up here on PitStop TV. You've got to stick around for it. For all of PitStop TV, Eric Brennan alongside me on the mic, Trey Shuttlesworth on our social media. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Have a great night.